Sunday to everybody. Hope you're having a good weekend. This is Paint with Lovejoy. We're going to be doing a kitchen theme, country kitchen theme painting today. Whoops. And getting rid of the echo. All right. So if you have any questions today, please feel free to leave a comment in the chat, and I try to look over every now and then and answer any questions as they come up. So a little bit of what you're looking at today, we've got all of our colors, and I'm on an 8x10 canvas panel. Some of you may be painting on a stretched canvas that will be a little bit thicker, a little more width on the sides. So if you're painting on a stretched canvas, when we bring our background color next to the edge, wrap that color around the sides, the tops, and the bottom. Just looks nice when you hang it on the wall. On getting this on your canvas. First one is you can pause the video, draw what you see, and then pick up the video for the painting portion. Or you can, there's a link in the description box below. You can purchase the Traceable, download it, and print it out. And then with carbon paper, you transfer it to your canvas. And when you transfer with the Traceable, it's actually going to transfer a lot lighter. I went over mine with Sharpie marker for those of you at home that are going to pause the video and draw what you see. So don't feel like you have to do the Sharpie marker unless you want to. All right, and for today's painting, really kind of the only thing that makes it more of the country vibe is going to be more of the colors that we use. So I'm going to use more muted ones. But if you want to switch this out and use really bold primary colors, specific color scheme, feel free to switch out any of the colors that we're going to use today. So we are going to start with that background, and we're going to get kind of a nice, kind of a beigey, creamy color going. So we're going to start with the white, a little bit of raw sienna to get a nice creamy color. There we go. And I'm staying pretty light, staying with that country vibe. And as you're applying with the brush, I'm using a medium flat brush. Try a few different brush strokes. You've got your full width, turning that brush sideways, and then making X marks. And we're going to fill up our entire background from the perimeter of our little objects here to the edges of the canvas. All right, and let's see, we've got a few of you jumping on. Mary, all right, cool. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this morning. Okay. And as I'm looking at the video, I am seeing that it is buffering. So I am going to be changing the structure of the daily demos just because I am having so many tech issues. I talked to the rep for the internet yesterday, and they still can't figure out why my video is buffering when I have plenty of speed. So I would much rather produce a piece of quality content for you guys rather than bad tech issues, because I feel like that takes away from the actual instruction. So I'm going to kind of restructure this. I think I'm going to go down to probably Thursday to Sunday, doing either the daily demo, or I'm looking into doing a premiere to where I have some of the watercolor tutorials that I'll be releasing soon. And maybe if we do it as a premiere, I won't actually have to worry about painting, and then I can jump on and chat and answer questions. So I think I might live demo painting. So like I said, this project, this channel is definitely a passion project, and it was created, the channel was originally created to give people an outlet to paint at home and to help first-time painters not be so scared. And then with the coronavirus and everything in the world happening, the daily demos started as my way to just keep myself sane, give myself something to do, as well as give you guys, everybody that was stuck at home, something to do and break down the steps to make it a little bit easier. So now that at least America is on its way back into some type of functioning, we'll kind of readjust the daily demos. Okay, so we've got most of our background filled in, and there are a few different variations. And if you want a place that's a little bit darker, grab some of that direct raw sienna. I like doing a little bit of a shadow. So you place a little bit of it on there on your wet background, and then I generally like to wipe off that excess paint and then just move the brush back and forth. And you'll see that it kind of blends and diffuses, kind of becomes a new color. So the more you move your brush, the more the two colors kind of mix together. So if you want to keep a bit more of the color you're introducing, move your brush maybe a couple of brush strokes. And just kind of play with this. This is really fun and therapeutic to just kind of move the paint around. If you want to introduce a different color, if you want to get this kind of gray, you could introduce a little bit of medium gray or even black. Brush off. You grab more of that white, slap it on there, and then again, just move your brush back and forth. All right. And yep, I am seeing the video buffer again on my feed here. So I apologize at home, and hopefully it rewatch yesterday's video, and that audio distortion was very, very annoying. So I will probably download the popular demos from the last couple of months and re-edit those kind of closer to my more polished videos on my channel, and then re-upload them. And maybe we'll do that as the premiere and we can go through the painting again. So it's never a dull day in the art world or in life in general. Okay, so moving into our table that everything's sitting on, I'm going to go right in with that direct raw sienna, and we're going to fill in this whole bottom area. And because I'm using student grade paint, it's on the transparent side, so some of my black Sharpie lines will show through. So I'm just painting right over them, but we're going to do some wet on wet blending to kind of pop and bring some shadows on there. So just filling in this whole base down here. If you cannot see your lines through it because you didn't put the Sharpie marker on there, go ahead, watch this whole thing, and then just notice where I put each different color, and then you can kind of break it down in simple steps that way. All right, so just looking to see if there is any questions on there. Awesome. All right, I was gonna say, yeah, we've got New York, Puerto Rico. Excellent, excellent. I love that it's getting such a nice following everywhere. And I know I got a few people in Australia and New Zealand. I think a few people in India have emailed me with what they're painting, and it's just so honored that we're able to access so many people around the world with the internet. And that just painting and creativity are bringing people together. So as I grab more of the direct raw sienna, I am holding my brush at kind of a 45-degree angle to apply it just a little bit thicker. And I'm going from that first line at the bottom below or down, going from the line with a little bit of the thicker raw sienna paint. Now I'm going to grab that direct burnt sienna. We'll do a little bit of that wet on wet blending. So I'm going to kind of push it on the spaces where I want, and then I'll come back and blend it in. So I'm kind of going right underneath those boxes and this little jar over here. And again, just applying it kind of thick. And then again, I'm just going to drag some of that across. Now wipe that brush off. And for the burnt sienna underneath the boxes, I'm going to keep with just kind of the brush at the 45-degree angle, but almost kind of the stabbing method and just using the sides of the brush. And this is squishing that burnt sienna into the raw sienna underneath it. And I'm not moving my brush a whole lot. It's just kind of a squish and then pick my brush right back up. So there's not a whole lot of movement happening. And then as we come down here towards the bottom, I'm going to turn my brush sideways and kind of keep these longer brush strokes, almost thinking of it as slightly grains of the wood, and just kind of play with that. All right, and oh, I forgot to remind you to breathe. So make sure you are breathing while you do that. Don't hold your breath. Now we're going to grab some of that pure white. Same thing, I'm just going to place it in an area, and then we'll wipe the brush off and just smush it in. So kind of going right above that line, that first line that was on there from the Traceable, adding the white, and then let's add some white over here. Wipe off that excess paint now. And whichever blending method, if you want to go to the stabbing method or the long kind of smush and pull, your call. But we're just going to get a highlight on here and a highlight on the edge of the table. And the more that you paint, the more comfortable you'll get with kind of the pressure of your brush and blending your paint. Okay, so while we let our background dry, we're actually going to start moving into our different elements here. And I've got a nice, we're going to use a real kind of pretty blue for the jug here. We've got kind of a terracotta pot, reddish box, and a reddish jar. And then I think we'll be moving back into like the burnt sienna and small kind of earthy colors from here. But again, you have full permission. If you wanted a blue background, purple, if you want to do pop art colors, go for it. Have fun. All right, so cleaning the brush out really good. Checking all the feeds, looks like everything's still okay. All right, let's actually move into that blue first. And I've always liked those beautiful blue country blue bottles. It's just such a yummy blue color. So I'm going to keep it pretty close to that, but adding just a little bit of white so it's not that dark, because I'll reintroduce some of that dark blue for one of the shadows. So kind of come into not quite a medium blue, a medium dark blue. We're going to fill in this jar. Again, full permission if you want to switch out colors here. And if you need to switch to the small pointy brush because it makes it a little bit easier to control, go right ahead and do that. And if you have to mix your shade today a second or third time, don't stress about it being the exact same shade. I'm just proud of you for painting at home. All right, and just a quick question on there. How is the audio? Are you guys getting any distortion at home? I have been on my new phone filming and recording compared to the first couple of months of the demo. And it seems like that's when the audio started to get kind of funky. So just curious so I can constantly keep improving. Okay, so don't worry too much about the handles. I'm going to move into the smaller pointy brush for that. So now adding a bit of that shadow, I'm going to grab that direct blue. And if you already use that direct blue by itself, grab that blue and maybe a little bit of purple so that way you're going to shade darker. All right, and again, I just want you to observe where I place this color, and you're going to mimic that on your canvas to the best of your ability. And as you follow these demos and are in the early stages of your painting, your power of observation is a skill that you're going to strengthen forever, basically. And it will show up in other aspects of your life as a cool topic. So, I mean, the power of observation is great for your job. It's great for relationships. It's great for just being a good friend and observing. So the more that you do it in art, the more you'll see it kind of show up in other areas of your life. So once I place that dark blue on there, similar method to what we used for underneath the boxes, kind of this little tapping method, almost a little stabbing. In some of the other demos, we've done it more with the brush almost perpendicular to the canvas. We'll kind of play with it. We're going to introduce some white for a little bit of lighter highlights. And even kind of with this little dots, this is almost like a pointillism method, and it's a nice way to get into the groove of blending, especially if you're new to it. So just going to clean off some of that brush. We're going to grab a little bit of the white. Let's see, we're going to place it from where we placed the dark color, and then we would actually have a highlight kind of on the center. Place your white in there, wipe that brush off. You're going to see how quickly this white diffuses into the blue. So even less movement of your brush stroke will help kind of keep your distinction. And right ahead and do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab a pointy brush, get those little handles on there. And I like the handles to just be a little bit darker. So I'm just going to use that direct blue. And then wipe that brush off, clean it, and then we're going to grab just a touch of the white. Just a little hint of it on there. Let's mix that. All right. Okay, and then clean the brush. We're going to be moving right along. Okay, and I haven't seen the video refresh in a while, so, but I haven't really been looking over there either. So hopefully it's doing all right for you guys. Okay, so let's see, let's move into this kind of terracotta pot. And I'm gonna throw some more white on here in a minute. I'll pull some white off to the side, tiny amount of red, a little bit of red goes a long way. And we kind of have a medium pink. Now I'm gonna grab some raw sienna and kind of generous with the amount, so I'll push it onto the side. Nice. And I'm gonna wipe the rest of that blue paint off and switch brushes. And let's go a little more raw sienna. I was realizing how close it was to the background color, so I'm making it a little bit darker. There we go. And again, you can change the shade of this if you want. And we are going to be working with the wet on wet blending, taking it for each one of these little elements. And just like we did with the blue pot, we put our base color in, and then we put our dark shadow in, and then we put our highlight. And you are getting kind of a crash course of your value scale in artwork. And this is what helps create this magical illusion on the surface, on a flat surface. By creating that value scale, you're able to create this 3D illusion on a flat 2D surface. All right, so we've got our base on there. I'm actually going to jump right into that burnt sienna, going a little bit darker, and right underneath that rim, placing the color. And then we'll come back and do the dots or the pointillism to kind of blend it in. And because it's wet on wet paint, still holding my brush kind of at that 45-degree angle and not really touching the surface of the canvas, but touching the paint, the thickness of the paint on top of the canvas, on top of the surface. All right, and then same thing, grabbing a little bit of white. This would be our highlight value. Getting that brush off and then smearing it in. And again, just to reiterate a question that's come up in some of my emails from multiple people, you do not have to paint as fast as I'm painting in these little demos. I'm trying to keep the demos under 50 minutes for multiple reasons, but don't feel like you have to keep up with me. You are have free reign to pause the video as much as you need. Okay, so it's looking pretty good on the screen. So I'm going to move into, we've kind of got these dirty brown, reddish brown boxes and cups right here, and then we'll move into the last two elements. And then I do have some green and yellow for a plant in here. All right, so let's pull a little bit of this red aside, and let's use the burnt sienna this time. And that's about a 1-to-1 ratio. I want a little bit more brown. So you can add as much of the brown as you want or not. But basically just trying to avoid that pop art red, deep red, or even a fire engine red. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to fill in this whole box with that color. And then from this edge to the left, this will be a little bit darker. And then this, this side will be a little bit lighter. And again, I'm using student grade paint, so I'm going to apply it kind of thick and still hold my brush at that 45-degree angle. Now you've got two options, since we've got two boxes here. We'll do different, I'll show you two different steps. So you could do it like the pot where we filled in all the color. Or if you want to take it section by section. And there's no right or wrong way. So you could take that as one section, and then let's go a little bit lighter for the rectangle above it, and not much because I don't really want to go pink. We're just going a little bit lighter. And I think this one might actually be a nice one if you did do the outlines for that pop art feel. I think it would take away from the country kitchen vibe. But I think it might look cool, so maybe consider doing that on yours if you like that effect. All right, and that didn't go as light as I wanted, so incorporating that wet on wet blending. Throw some of that white on there, and then we're just going to smush it in there. So instead of remaking the color and applying it, we're just adjusting the color directly on the canvas. So you have full permission to do that when you're painting. Awesome. All right. So now here, this would be in the shadow, so we would actually go a little bit darker. I'm going to make a new pile and then add a little bit of black, and again, a little bit goes. And then I'm going to go just a touch darker for that little lid. And there are a few places that I want just a touch darker, so I'm going to move down and grab the pointy brush. I'm going to grab a little bit of that black, and right underneath the lid of this box, I'm going to add some of that black and a little bit underneath here, and then also going down, down on the left-hand side of that line. So wipe that pointy brush off, and then back to kind of that stabbing, 45-degree angle, sideways method. Blend that black into it, and just increase the intensity, increase the contrast, and give us a bit of a deeper sense of depth and 3D with this little box. So leaving what is on my brush, I'm going to come up here to the top of the box, and again, just kind of to the left of that line, adding a little bit of black to it. And start seeing a mixture and soften that line. So again, the wet on wet blending, it's always kind of a back and forth action. So if you are inclined to do something a little bit different than what I'm doing on the video, trust that, because your instincts are guiding you in the direction you need to go. And as we do this again, I think I mentioned earlier, step away from your painting and look at it from that distance of 5 to 10 feet away. This is where a lot of these shadows and values start making even more sense. Okay. Oh, it's a little guy over here. So I'm going to use a little pointy brush for that, and we're going to use similar colors for this one. Maybe a little more red this time. All right, and this one I'm just going to paint over the whole thing, and then we'll put the shadows on top of it. So, and then for the box, we'll go a little lighter on the box, and I'll do the same thing, paint the whole thing over that one. So as you get more and more into your creative exploration, you will find that there are many ways to paint a scene or an object. So try all the different ways and find what you enjoy and what you find comfortable. All right, so we've got filled in our kind of dirty reddish brown. Now I'm going to grab some of that white, and because it's still pretty super wet on there, I'm just going to put a little dot in there, and then where this little label is, that circle on the inside, just kind of directly mix on the canvas. Again, just another fun, different way to change stuff on your canvas. And then same thing, a little bit right here in the center. And I want this to stay a little bit more white. So these little lines right here, I want to kind of keep, even though that they're pretty bold. And then the one on the lid, I'm just going to smooth that out a little bit. And then same thing on the edges, that little bit of black. I'm going to go down each side and then underneath that little lid. And again, a little bit of black, especially in this small space, is going to go a long way. So start off by adding just a little bit and then pulling it into the red. And same thing, we're just doing these little dots. And as you get into smaller spaces, this is really focusing in and honing in on your brush control. So this is something that gets better with more practice. And some days we have really good, comfortable brush control and it's no big deal. And other days, maybe it's a little more frustrating. So be kind to yourself if it's a day that happens to be kind of frustrating. And if you need to, you can always go back, grab a little bit of that reddish brown and readjust. right. Okay, cool. We got some more people jumping on. Excellent. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Photography Queen. And Anna. I think I've gotten everybody. Awesome. All right, so let's move into these last two little objects. And then we'll put some foliage in our little pot right there. And if you even want to, you could write a message up here. A lot of the country stuff has that. The heart of the home is in the kitchen, is the one that I'm looking at right now. So feel free, and if you want to do that with brushwork or a Sharpie marker, totally your call to do that. Okay, so let's see, for our box down here, let's actually make it a bit more of a yellowish, light yellow. So I'm pulling some of that white aside, pulling some yellow in there, about a 1-to-1 mixture. This will be a nice complement to some of our other colors. And I kind of like that it's really bright right now. We will add a few other colors to tone it down. So, and this one, because it is the lighter color, it does make it easier if you have that darker color of the Sharpie marker underneath it. It will shine, or it'll show through. So I'm going to fill this whole space in, and then we'll do the wet on wet blending for our shadows. And then just a bit of a comparison compared to the red box where we took it section by section. All right, and with this, we're going to use a little bit of black. We might switch to brown. Let's see how this looks first. So a little bit goes a long way. So right underneath that rim, and especially in your lighter colors, a little bit goes a long way. So again, just kind of follow where we went. We went right underneath that lid and then to the left of that line. And then wipe off that brush, clean it if you need to. And light pressure, just pull some of that darker gray into that light lemony yellow. Now we're going to grab some. And again, just placing it on there, wiping off excess paint. And medium pressure, just kind of smush it into that base color. If you had preferred to do this with the raw sienna instead of the black with the mixture of the yellow, that would just give it a bit of an earthier look. And as I look at the video, we've got nice primary color happening right here. So maybe let's go ahead and make this little container green. And we'll have some nice green and complements. All right, so let's go with the straight green for this. And we'll treat it the same way that we did the other lid. Or the other little jar. All right, and this one, let's actually grab the burnt sienna, going right underneath the lid again, and the bottom of this jar, wiping that off. And I actually like the color that this green and brown mixture makes. It is very earthy. If you're not a fan of that green and brown, you can always switch it out for the black instead. All right, let's do some yellow. And just like we did for this jar down here, put that little blob in there, fill up that circle. Again, it's going to change to kind of that medium lighter green. Now we'll grab the white. And similar positions as the other jar. I'm going to put that one on the label this time though. Again, wipe that off. I do actually kind of like the distinctness of this, but on the lid, I'm just going to smooth that in a little bit more. All right, and let's see, while we've got the white, let's go ahead and get a few little highlights. This part of the box is already starting to dry. So just light pressure, just kind of washing some of that highlight on there. Okay, now let's get some grass in our, or some foliage in our pot. And again, you're more than welcome to add a quote up here, personalize this, no matter what you do, send me photos. I still enjoy seeing those, and can't tell you how many people on social media have enjoyed the little collages that have been posted, and quite a few people were happy that I didn't tag them, their photos featured, so feel free to tag yourself if I have one of your photos in there. Okay, so you can do any type of plant that you want. If you're thinking just kind of, actually, I don't even know what I was thinking of. Long blades of grass, or I can't remember the name of this plant. That basically just had the thick overlapping leaves. They were like big wedge shapes. So I'm going to do this with kind of the middle gray, yellowish gray, green gray. All right, my brain's doing good today. And then we'll go in with the direct green, but imagining the width of each brush stroke is your blade of foliage. If you want to put a different type of plant in here that flowers, go right ahead. Let's start grabbing some of that direct green. We're just kind of giving an illusion that we've got foliage here. Awesome. All right, wiping off that excess paint, grabbing some of that yellow, same concept. And again, you're seeing how quickly that yellow diffuses into the other colors. All right, not bad. And about 33 minutes. Getting pretty good at keeping it there. Okay, so like I said earlier, if you feel like doing that black outline, awesome. If you want to sign it, generally goes in the bottom right-hand corner. If you switch it up, do different stuff, full permission to do that. And even as I look here on the screen, on the video, I want a bit more highlights on this bowl. So when I look at it on the screen, or you look at it on your phone, that's the same thing as looking at it from 20 feet away without getting out of your chair. So in a lot of videos, you'll notice where I talk about progress photos and the importance of it. So get into that habit of photographing your artwork during the creation stages, and then look at it from the distance. So as I'm looking at it on the screen, I'm seeing it from that distance, and I'm realizing that I need more brighter highlights here. So what you see from that distance, go back and adjust in your painting. All right. Okay, so I'll probably get a new schedule out. Likely I'll finish out this month. It didn't seem too bad on technical issues, as I see the buffer right now as I look at it. So if you guys wouldn't mind, just let me know how the audio was today, and if the lag time was really, really bad, because that will affect on what I kind of do for next month. Because like I said, I'd rather give you guys a quality product and not something that has a bunch of technical issues. So, all right. Well, thanks again for hanging out with me on this Sunday. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or evening. And I believe tomorrow it looks like we've got a waterfall landscape going. And let me know future suggestions. We'll keep them on the running list, and with the new schedule, it might be a little further out before some of them are completed, but we're getting there. And I will be releasing the watercolor tutorials next month. I'm just now finishing editing and liking what's put together. Same with the little doodles. So, all right. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.